Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Beloved Sangat, dear brothers and sisters, seekers of truth and fellow wanderers in this great mystery of existence, we gather today not to hear the final answers, but to explore together, with open minds and hearts, the paradox of living fully in this world without being bound by it. Beloved Sangat, you see, we often think of detachment as something to be achieved, something to do, something to grasp, but in reality, true detachment is not a task. It's the natural outcome of seeing clearly, of understanding the great dance of life as it unfolds moment by moment. We live in a world that pulls us in countless directions, each one with its own allure, its own promises of fulfillment. Desire, attachment, and longing are constant companions, and it's easy to think that to find peace, we must escape from all of this. But the truth is far simpler and more profound. To be detached is not to run away from life, but to be so deeply immersed that it is where we realize we were never separate from it in the first place. We are not separate from the world, not separate from the love, the joy, the sorrow, or the beauty we encounter. We are the dance, the flow, the ocean, and the wave. And so today, let us explore this paradox of living in the world without being bound by it. Let us see that the secret of true detachment is not about renunciation, but about fully engaging with life while remaining free from the need to grasp, control, or cling to anything. It's about finding that delicate balance where you are fully present in the moment, yet free from the attachments that seek to define you. This is not a discussion for the mind alone. It is for the heart, for the spirit to awaken to its true nature. And together, we will explore how we can live, work, love, and serve in this world, not as someone seeking to possess it, but as someone who understands that in truth, we are already one with it. Since we've previously explored the illusion of separateness and the pull of Maya in the previous discussion, the next step is understanding how to live in the world while staying spiritually awakened. How do we engage with family, work, and responsibilities while remaining unattached to ego and desire? How do we practice detachment not as renunciation, but as freedom? Guruji teaches us that the key is not to abandon life, but to live with the awareness that all is fleeting, all is part of the divine play. Imagine for a moment a dancer moving effortlessly with the rhythm of the music. They do not cling to any one note nor resist the changing tempo. They are utterly engaged, yet completely free, flowing with a movement rather than trying to control it. Now, beloved, this is exactly how life is meant to be lived. The great paradox is that to be truly present in the world, one must learn the art of not clinging to it. You see, most people believe that detachment means running away, escaping to a cave, renouncing possessions, or rejecting pleasure. But that's not quite it. Real detachment is not about withdrawing from life. It is about being in it fully without being trapped by it. It means playing the game but not mistaking it for reality, enjoying the dance without trying to hold on to any single step. Guruji's wisdom doesn't tell us to abandon our responsibilities, our families, or our joys. Instead, they invite us to see through the illusion, the idea that we must grasp at life to make it meaningful. The moment you let go of this need to control, something wonderful happens. You begin to move with the flow of existence rather than against it. You work, you love, you serve, but you do so with a lightness, a freedom, because you know that you were never separate from the whole to begin with. Now there's a phrase that seems to strike at the heart of a great paradox. We often hear the word detachment and think it means pulling away, withdrawing from the hustle and bustle of life, retreating into silence and solitude. But that's only part of the picture. The deeper truth, the one that Guruji and many mystics have pointed to, is that true detachment is not about abandoning the world, but about fully engaging with it while being ensnared by its illusions. We should not be ensnared by its illusions. In the same way, you could say the wave is not separate from the ocean. It rises, it falls, it dances with the current, yet it never loses sight of the fact that it is still the ocean itself. Likewise, we are not meant to escape the world, but to experience it with full awareness, without becoming attached to things that come and go. The secret is in recognizing the impermanence of it all: relationships, possessions, pleasures, even pain. The more we grasp at these fleeting things, the more tightly we bind ourselves. But when we recognize that nothing is truly ours to hold, we find ourselves free, even while immersed in the dance of life. It's about being in the world, but not of it. True detachment, then, is the art of living in harmony with life's ebb and flow, of working, loving, and experiencing without mistaking any of it for the source of our happiness or identity. It's not about rejecting life for its pleasures, but rather understanding their impermanence and moving with them instead of resisting or clinging. It's like the wind. We can't hold the wind, but we can flow with it, feel its breeze, and let it carry us where we need to go. So, in this exploration of detachment, we'll look at how we can live fully, engage deeply with the world, and still remain unbound, free from the attachments that weigh us down and prevent us from realizing our true nature. And so, the question is, how do we live in this world, surrounded by its distractions and desires without being bound by them? How do we practice true detachment, not as an escape, but as a way to be fully alive? And so, beloved, now we come to the heart of the inquiry. How do we live in this world amidst its endless distractions and desires without being caught up in them? How do we practice true detachment, not as an escape from life, but as a way of being fully alive, engaged with the present moment, yet untouched by the forces that seek to pull us in? Well, first, let's understand that detachment is not something you can do. It's not a technique you can apply like putting on a coat, nor is it an ideology you can adopt like a new belief system. Detachment is not something you force upon yourself. It's the natural outcome of seeing the world clearly as it is, without clinging to the illusion that any of it is impermanent, or that your identity is bound up in any one thing. This understanding, this awareness, is what allows you to engage with the world without being bound by it. Think of it like a river. The water flows, sometimes it's calm, sometimes it's tumultuous, but it never clings to any one wave, any one stone, or any one moment. It simply flows, and in its flowing, it's completely alive. This is how we live in the world, not by grasping at it, but by flowing with it, knowing that each moment is like a wave, coming and going. The key is in recognizing that just as the river is never really apart from the ocean, we too are never apart from the whole of life. We are both in it and of it. True detachment, then, is the art of moving through life with full awareness and full presence, without attaching your sense of self to the passing forms that cross your path. You can enjoy the pleasures of life, work with enthusiasm and love with all your heart, but you do so with the understanding that none of it defines you. You are not the things that you have, the roles you play, or the successes you achieve. These are all just temporary expressions in the dance of existence. You are the dancer, free, unburdened by the performance, because you know that all performances come to an end. Detachment, then, is not renunciation, it's recognition. It's recognizing that you are not the wave, you are the ocean. And the more you realize this, the more you can move freely through life without being attached to the things that come and go. When you are no longer caught up in the fear of losing something or the desire to gain something, you find that life becomes a joyous play. You can experience it in all fully, its joys, its sorrows, its fleeting nature, without ever losing your sense of peace, because you know that, like everything else, it too shall pass. So, how do we live in this world without being bound by it? Well, the answer is simple. By knowing that we are not bound by it, and once we realize that we are not separate from the flow of existence, that we are not the roles we play or the desires we chase, we find ourselves free, even as we move through the world. It's not about avoiding the world. It's about realizing that the world is not out there, but it is within us, and that nothing outside of us can truly define or control us. And so, the practice of true detachment becomes the practice of true presence, being fully here, fully now, without attachment to be past or the future. And in this awareness, we become fully alive, awake to the beauty and impermanence of every moment, free to enjoy it fully without clinging. But the paradox is that the more you let go, the more fully you can experience life in all its richness. Because, in the end, detachment is not about escaping the world. It is about truly embracing it as it is, without the chains of attachment. So now we begin to touch on something even deeper. You see, the more we talk about detachment, the more we realize that the very idea of detachment itself is a bit of a paradox. Because in truth, detachment is not the opposite of attachment. It's the transcendence of both. You might be thinking, but isn't attachment the problem? Isn't it all those desires and fears that entangle us? And yes, in one sense they are. But what I want to point out is that when you talk about detachment, you are still in the realm of doing something about attachment, whether it's trying to avoid it, renounce it, or control it. The moment you try to detach from something, you've already made it into something to be avoided or struggled with, which keeps you in the same loop. The real breakthrough then comes when you recognize that you don't need to do anything. You see, life unfolds just as waves rise and fall. You, as the witness, are not caught in the rising or falling of the wave, because you are the ocean. The wave is part of you, but it doesn't define you. You can allow it to come, and you can allow it to go, but the key is in your relationship to it. Instead of resisting the wave or chasing after it, you simply let it be what it is, a natural event in the great unfolding of life. You don't attach to it because you know it will change, just as everything changes. And this brings us to the crux of the matter. Life itself is not the problem. The problem is our relationship to it. The way we grip onto it, define ourselves by it, and imagine that we are separate from it. In reality, there's nothing to cling to, because you are the whole thing. The attachment is not to the object or the experience itself, but to the idea that you need something outside of yourself to be complete. But beloved Sangat, you are already complete. The illusion is that you are not. This is where the idea of effortless living comes into play. It's not about force or discipline, but about allowing yourself to simply be. In fact, the more you try to force detachment or control your desires, the more tightly you grip onto them. The more you chase after spiritual enlightenment, the more elusive it becomes. The more you run from your attachments, the more you strengthen them. So instead of running from life or trying to change yourself into some idealized version of detachment, the trick is simply to relax into the flow of life. Understand that nothing in this world is permanent, including your feelings, your desires, your fears, your pleasures. And when you let go of the need to control these things, they lose their power over you. You can still enjoy life, participate in it fully, but it becomes play, not something to hold on to or achieve, but something to experience, let go of, and experience again. And let's be clear, this isn't about denying or rejecting the beauty of the world. It's quite the opposite. Once you realize the impermanence of everything, you can truly appreciate its fleeting nature. You see that every moment is precious, not because it is permanent, but because it's there, it's here, and now, and it will pass. The joy of life comes not from grasping at it, but from experiencing it fully without attachment. It's the paradox of life. The more you let go, the more you experience. The more you stop clinging, the more alive you become. And so, the answer to your question is this. You don't practice detachment by trying to detach. You practice it by letting go of the idea that you are separate from the world. By recognizing that everything is part of the same flow, and that just like the wave, you are not really separate from the ocean. You are the ocean. You have always been the ocean. The moment you realize this, detachment comes naturally, not as a technique, but as a natural state of being. And in that space of realization, you will find a deeper joy, a joy that comes not from having or doing, but from simply being. And so, beloved Sangat, we come to the conclusion, this strange, paradoxical realization that detachment is not something you do, but something you remember. It's not a goal you strive toward, but an understanding you come back to again and again, like a breath you keep returning to moment after moment. The more you grasp at life, the more tightly you cling to the idea that you need something to be whole, the further away you move from the truth of who you are. But beloved, when you stop grasping, when you stop seeking to control, to cling to the temporary, to define yourself by things that come and go, that's when you come home. You realize that you are the ocean, not the wave. You are the sky, not the clouds. You are the dancer, not the dance. And in that moment of recognition, you become free, not in some distant future, but right here, right now. And it's in this freedom, in this letting go, that life becomes truly alive. You can engage with the world fully, experience all its beauty, its pain, its joys, its sorrows, without clinging to any of it, because you know that none of it defines you. You are the witness, the awareness, the ever-present ocean flowing effortlessly through the temporary forms of the world. And in the end, true detachment is not about renouncing the world or retreating from life. It's about fully embracing life, not as something you need to possess, but as something you are. It's about being in the world, not bound by it, participating in the dance without being caught in the illusion of the dance. And so as you move through life, remember this: you don't have to go anywhere, do anything, or become someone to find peace. You already are that peace. You are already home. The only thing you have to do is recognize it. And when you do, life, just as it is, becomes an expression of freedom, joy, and boundless love. And so, beloved Sangat, let us pause for a moment to acknowledge the great humility and understanding that our words, no matter how carefully chosen, are always imperfect vessels for the deeper truths we seek to impress. In speaking, I may have stumbled, misrepresented, or simplified what is beyond simplification. If any part of this discussion has led you astray or caused confusion, I ask for your forgiveness, not out of guilt, but out of the recognition that we are all, in our own ways, still learning, still unfolding. The truth, you see, is far too vast to be contained by language, and every word spoken is just a small wave on the surface of the ocean. If I have said anything that does not resonate with the deeper understanding you already carry within you, I ask for your patience, your grace. And if any moment of this conversation has illuminated something within you, then let it be known that it was not I who spoke, but the truth itself, which lives beyond all words, beyond all forms. And so, with a deep bow of gratitude and humility, I offer this. May we all, in our own time, in our own way, find the clarity to recognize the truth that lies at the heart of everything, beyond all mistakes, beyond all misunderstandings. And in doing so, may we forgive ourselves and each other, knowing that the journey itself is the unfolding of the divine. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.